Hello. I thought I'd change things around here today, and I would go to a different location. I like my old location, but I thought I'd try something different here today. So here I am. Actually, this is somebody else's house. I just broke in and using their living room. No, that's not true. Anyway, I wanted to go over the way I read tarot cards. I think that would be a good idea to, I did a couple of YouTubes about it, but I thought it would be good to explain it a little bit more instead of going off into other things. Getting back to the basics of it and the way I read. And this is also the way I teach. And it's the way I read is, as far as a basic reading goes, is a good way to learn, as far as I'm concerned, because it allows you to fine tune and go into other directions without backing up and relearning something. And so it works out real good. And this is what I've been teaching for years. And there's a lot of pro readers out there now who started by what I taught them. And they're doing fine. So anyway, everybody knows that I use keywords. I favor keywords as far as meanings go of the cards. I think that's the best way to learn the meanings of the cards. And the way I teach is I really try to focus more on application with the reading instead of fine-tuning the meanings of the cards so much. The cards can mean many different things depending on the question you're looking into, but the application of a card reading, I think, is what really makes the reading go well, is understanding that application. So as far as meanings go, what I do is I like to, the 22 major arcana are the 22 majors. And I use keyword meanings for all the cards. So if you look at my books, you'll see that's what I give traditional meanings in there, but I also have keyword meanings in there. And in Essential Tarot, I have 20 keyword meanings mapped around the card, sort of like a mind map, and it works out real nice. But and then you have the 56 Minor Arcana, and that's 4 suits, ace through 10, and 4 court cards each. There's 14 cards for each suit. But the way I teach is the numerical value of each suit is the same meaning. So in other words, all the aces are common as far as meaning goes. Aces are new situations, new beginnings, new ideas, something new. Whether it's an ace of cups, ace of wands, ace of swords, ace of pentacles, doesn't make any difference. You can fine tune it into something more than that if you want to, but starting out with it being something new, a new direction or some type of new situation, is how I look at aces. And twos I look at as a choice. So again, I'm not using the suit. So all 4 aces mean the same thing. All 4 twos mean the same thing. They mean choice. And that can drift off in other meanings as well. Threes are creativity. Something creative, something new, or growing, nurtured, getting creative with your ideas, new direction, looking at options, getting creative in some way, something creative. And 4s are stability, stabilizing something. Routine, predictable, dependable, solid, rock solid, good foundation. That's how I see the 4s. So again, whether it's a sword, a cup, it's stable. It doesn't make any difference what the suit is to me. Fives are change. I see fives as change. Something's changing with the fives. This could be a disruption. This could be just stirring things up. Rearrangement, transformation, any kind of change. Alteration, adjustment, modifying, reducing, enlarging, whatever. It's a change of some type. Whether when that can come up, it could be a need to change or something that happened that did change. It doesn't make any difference. Our starting point is the card means change. Sixes, I have it a couple different ways, but I usually have it as overcoming obstacles. Sixes are overcoming obstacles. Or I also have it as perseverance. Doesn't make any difference. They both work. And if you map out key words, they both make sense. So if you mapped it out, you'd have a bunch of different words around the card. Perseverance and overcoming obstacles would be two of them that would fit very well. And from there you would find other meanings that would fit for the question. Sevens are confidence, moving forward, or confidence usually. I see that as confidence. Confidence and experience. So if you overcome the obstacles of the sixes, you get more confidence, you get more experience, you know what you're doing more. And after that I have eights are advancement. You're advancing forward on something because now you know more about what you're doing, you can advance forward on something. And as you advance forward with the eights, you attain the situation with the nines. Nines are attainment. Now if you're using a Rider-Waite deck, you have eights are advancement, and you have the Eight of Swords. People always say this. They say, "Well, she's all tied up, blindfolded. How's that advancement?" Well, the issue is still advancement. She needs to release those bonds or find a way to free up herself to move forward and advance. The issue is still, we're talking about advancement. It shows a restricted person there, not able to advance. That needs to change. Focus on advancing. And on the nines, we have the Nine of Swords, and I have attainment for nines. Nines are, Nine of Swords, again, the swords are really a curveball with the Rider deck, and a lot of decks that copied that afterwards. It shows a person sobbing in bed in the middle of the night. And nines are attainment. Well, that could be an awareness of a sad truth. You still attain something. It shows a rude awakening, coming to terms with something, but that's an attainment. It's still an attainment. It's a necessary one. Sometimes attainments can be painful. So that is one form of many forms of attainment that could be there. The cards are just snapshots of some type of meaning, and Arthur Waite chose to have negative overtones on the 8, 9, 10 of Swords for their meaning. But you could have wonderful attainments, you could have wonderful advancement, and just because you have the 8 of Swords or the 9 of Swords with that gloomy picture on there, doesn't mean it's a bad attainment or a bad time to try to advance forward. And 10s are completion. After you attain something, you can complete it. And 10s are completion. So, again, it doesn't make any difference on the suit. And again, with the Rider deck, you have the 10 of Swords, gloomy looking picture. As far as the completion goes, yeah, that can be looked at as a completion, but there's wonderful completions. Retirement would be one, graduation would be one. That card also could represent those things. So again, the image is just a snapshot of one possible type of completion, attainment, or advancement. The Three of Swords is another one. I didn't even mention that. Three of Swords is, threes are creative. So we have three swords going through a heart. And that's supposed to be creative sometime, in some way. Well, swords, if you want to look at the suit, swords are thought. And so I look at that as getting creative about some type of a situation, having a conversation you don't want to have. But you got to get creative here. I don't want to have this conversation. It's going to be a sticky situation. It's going to be unpleasant. But I have to come up with some options. So I would like to avoid it, but I have to face the music there and have this this conversation. Or I have to look into my options here in some way. So that's how I see the Ace through 10 pip cards of the Minor Arcana. And I learned on the Rider deck, I learned on the Marseille deck. I teach with the Rider, but that's because most people today use that deck more. But with the Marseille deck, tens are nine. There's a nine of swords. It's just nine swords. So it doesn't have an unpleasant image. So it's easier to see that card as something pleasant if I want to, where the Rider deck got specific, showing a specific image. One of many different types of snapshot images that could be on that card to show attainment, but the maker of the deck chose to go with something negative. So that's how I see the minors, Ace through 10. Court cards are another curveball because people have asked me, what about court cards? And I just have meanings for the court cards, just like the other, that's Ace through 10. But with the Marseille deck, court cards were the only cards that had pictures of people on them. So originally, court cards were people. And the minors, the pip cards weren't people. The court cards were. And the people were, kings were men, queens were women, knights were a young man, and a page was a young woman or a child. And the suits had physical attributes for these people too. And I think that was going a little bit too far. So in other words, like the suit, the King of Swords was supposed to be a fair-skinned, blonde man with a profession of like a lawyer or some other educated profession. So he's a blonde lawyer. And the King of Wands was more of an artisan, I guess that would be called, a craftsman of some type, who, tall, dark, and handsome guy, that typical, I see you meeting a tall, dark, handsome guy, that's the King of Wands. And he was dark-skinned and dark hair. And he wasn't a professional. He was more of a craftsman of some type. So if you meet a guy and he's if he's a woofer and he's got brown hair, but the King of Swords comes up and it's a blonde-haired, fair-skinned man, it doesn't make any difference that you met the guy, or you're going to meet the guy, you're going to like the guy, it doesn't make any difference what kind of color hair he has. So it doesn't make any difference. And I just don't use it. So they have other meanings to the court cards too. But as far as physical attributes to the people, what kind of work that they did, Queen of Swords, I think, was considered a real bitchy type, and the Queen of Cups was more loving. I forgot, it's so long ago, but you could find these meanings, and take them how you want to take them, you know. But they used to use a significator too. So you would take one of the court cards to represent the client, and you would put that down before you did the card spread. I don't use the significator, and so I just use the meanings of the cards outside of the type of person they are. I never had a need for that. Any one of the tarot cards on most decks today have pictures of people doing things on all the cards. So any one of these cards could mean people. And well, with the old Marseille deck, there was pip cards and there was no people in them. But now you see any one of these cards that has people in them, the Nine of Cups, you know, I mean, so you have a picture of a person there. That could be a person. So it doesn't have to be a court card to be a person. So the meanings to my court cards, I have pages represent a new beginning or a new path, almost like an ace would be, pretty close to an ace. And that's how I see the page. New direction, new course. And again, it makes no difference on the suit. Pages are pages. It's a new situation. New direction, new beginning. Could be a new job, new relationship, new place to live. Or whether you're just thinking about it or you did it, doesn't make any difference. Whoever is placed in the spread would tell that. Knights represent action. So pages, new beginnings, new direction. Knights represent action. Taking action, taking initiative, getting something started. Getting the ball moving on something. Queens represent patience and understanding. A very important attribute to look into sometime, or frame of mind to have, is patience and understanding. The more understanding you have of a situation, the more patience you're going to have with it too. And sometimes it's a key thing, and it's to your advantage to have patience on something. Let it wait. Sometimes it's to your advantage to take action with the knight. So the queen is thinking things out clearly, moving slowly, cautiously, and trying to understand the situation in the whole. And kings represent knowledge, information. Sometimes it's important for us to gain knowledge on something and get more information on something before we move forward. Sometimes we already have that. That's an advantage we have. We have a lot of insight about this. We've done this before. We have knowledge in this situation. So there again, the king is knowledge. So with this, and I don't use, like I said, I don't use the people. I use the people I can see on any one of the cards. But the minor arcana, the meanings I use seem to work out very well. They did for me for many years, and they still do. So just look at the court cards as an extension of the ace through 10. It's just ace through 14. That's all. And they have meaning just like the Six of Wands would have, or the Ten of Swords. A knight would have the same type of meanings, or a queen, different, a meaning just like that. They have their own specific meaning, and I treat them the same way as the other cards. So if I don't use the suit, that means there's only 14 meanings for the minor arcana. Ace through 10 and 4 court cards. With keyword meanings to spark ideas, those are 14 cards, 14 meanings for the whole 56 cards, 56 minor arcana. That, along with the 22 major arcana, comes out to 36 meanings now, instead of 78. And if you use reverse meanings, instead of 78, you have 156. I don't use reverse meanings. So you could have 156 meanings, or you could have 36. Doing it the way I do it allows you to start practicing the cards and applying and learning by using the cards instead of studying books, memorizing answers or definitions. This is a lot more effective to me, I believe, and it gets people using the cards. And 36 meanings with 78 cards, doing any kind of spread you want to do. Whether you want to do 3-card spreads, you want to do a Celtic cross, gypsy spread, it doesn't make any difference. You could not go through all of the possibilities in one lifetime that you could get with 36 meanings on any spread you want to use. There's millions of possibilities and combinations that can be there. So you'll never get through them all. What I like about the tarot cards is we all read differently. So will you. And so I'm not suggesting that my way is the only way. What I am telling you is that it works because I did it. So I know it works. But I also know that you're going to use your way eventually anyway. So this, like I said, we all read differently. So it's like an art. We're all going to paint a different masterpiece here. I know many readers and pro readers, we all get along, we all have a good time together, and none of us read the same. And nobody ever even thinks about that, because we all know, because we're there, we understand how it works, so we know that nobody's going to read like me, or nobody's going to read like you. And we all have our own ways of doing it. And but it's all basically the same thing, you're reading. So this is what works for me. And I know what I like about it is I've seen students take my way, and as they grow, they say, well, okay, I like what you gave me here, but I want to add reverse meanings, or I want to put more definition into the suit, or whatever. And they do, and it works out fine for them. So, and some of them just stay the way I taught them, read the way I read. So it'll be up to you But I do focus more on the application of reading instead of studying symbolism of the cards, and I like to look at the application of a card reading, and that's why I look more into the spreads and how to tap into your intuitive side and get ideas, sensing something from the person sitting across from you. So I hope you like this. The majors I'm not going to really even go into. The majors have 22 cards. The only thing I wanted to say about them is they're considered to have more universal principles, deeper metaphysical, universal and metaphysical meaning to them. And it's supposed to have deeper meaning than the minors. The minors are supposed to represent everyday life. The majors are supposed to represent something deeper. But as you read, you're going to find yourself toning down the majors to help find answers to this everyday problem we're looking into. And that's fine. But there's all sorts of symbolism and ideas about the majors out there. And you could have, I use keywords with them as well. So, and that's available here on YouTube and in my books. I also give out traditional meanings as well, but I like to use the keywords more than traditional meanings. To me, it works better. And to go back to what we were saying with the 36 cards, 36 meanings the way I read. When I started reading, a lot of readers just used the 22 majors. They didn't use the 56 minors, and they didn't use reverse meanings. And that's all they used. And a lot of their spreads would use maybe 11 positions, or they would use, maybe they used maybe all 22 cards. There's 22 positions. Whatever they wanted to do. But they did good readings, and there's millions of different combinations just with that. That's 22 cards. So adding the minors into there gives you 36, and it works out fine. So I hope you like this. Keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon.